And now, it's Boomer Life, lifestyle discussion designed to make your life more engaging, meaningful, and complete. Celebrating the baby boomer generation, this is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Welcome to Boomer Life on CIL 650. I'm George Gordon, and in studio from PhilipsLifeline, Canada's #1 medical alert service, we welcome Tracy Griffin and Jeanette Chouinard. Tracy is on the line from PhilipsLifeline headquarters. And Tracy, could you get things started? Tell us more about yourself and PhilipsLifeline.
Sure. Thank you very much, George, for having us on your show today. So we're here to talk about the Philips Lifeline Canada. Philips Lifeline is an easy-to-use personal response service, and it lets our subscribers get help any time of the day or night just by pushing a button. And I've been at Lifeline now for 10 years, and it's actually one of the most rewarding jobs just for the number of seniors that we know we're helping each day. And we've been in the medical alert industry since 1974.
So the growth in this, I guess we could call it an industry, but really it's so much more than that. It's helping over 7 million seniors and at-risk individuals feeling much safer, more secure at home. And really, Philips Lifeline it's peace of mind.
It definitely is. That's one of the most rewarding parts of working at this organization. We every day we get phone calls and we get letters sent in from both our seniors themselves and then more importantly from their families, because the service is really something that provides peace of mind for the subscriber that's wearing the button, and then also for the family. Quite often in today's society, we're all busy, and if we are acting as a caregiver to our loved ones, sometimes it's hard to be there all the time. But with our service, it really allows the senior to maintain their independence and confidence, certainly feel secure when they're in their home. And on the other side, it allows caregivers to, maintain their lifestyles, knowing that their loved one has access to help in the event of an emergency.
So the reliability is a major factor.
Absolutely.
So who are your customers? Talk a bit about these folks.
Sure. We have many customer groups. I mean, primarily the wearers of our button are seniors, and traditionally they've been, elderly, typically a female, but of course our service is available for everybody. But typically these seniors are living alone in their home. Some of them are managing some sort of health condition. Quite often people call to get our service, unfortunately, after their loved one has had some sort of, fall or other medical situation that has occurred. And then we've recently come out with a new service called Go Safe, and what this does is it allows you to get the same peace of mind of the Lifeline service, but outside of your home. And then with this new service, what we're noticing is it's actually appealing to a younger customer group, so people that are just managing a chronic condition such as diabetes and MS, and a lot of times those kind of conditions, there's not necessarily an older age attached to them. So we're having much more younger people call and sign up for our service now with GoSafe. Some of our other customers that we deal with on a regular basis, healthcare professionals, as you can appreciate, many people call to get our service after their loved one has maybe had a fall, been in the hospital, and they're ready to be discharged. And quite often our healthcare providers will recommend Philips Lifeline to those patients. And we are actually integrated. We have 450 partnerships across the country with different healthcare associations. And then caregivers themselves. I mean, we do a lot of work with caregivers, provide a lot of support to them in terms of, helping their loved ones make sure that they're doing the right exercises to prevent them from having another fall, make sure that medications are under control and they're on the right schedules. So that's just, they're the customers that we deal with on a regular basis.
Now, Jeanette Chouinard and Veronica Lynch, the program manager for Delta Lifeline program, who will be joining us in just a little bit. We were talking before the show, Tracy, about the caregivers and how suddenly you can be thrust into a situation you really had not planned for, or even suspect was going to be just around the corner. And often that is the child, and they're often dealing with a surviving spouse, and often it's dad, and there's reluctance to on their part to do things, and for the caregiver in this situation, it's like swimming up against a torrent, and they don't know where to reach out for.
Definitely. We hear that quite often when we speak to the caregivers that are, you're right. I mean, sometimes and quite often you become a caregiver overnight, and it's certainly nothing that you've really prepared yourself for. So there's many resources that are available, and what we do find is many caregivers go online and they try to research as much as possible. On our website, lifeline.ca, we do have a section, resource section, and in there we have information for caregivers to help them along this journey. And but I think that the most important thing is for them to educate themselves on the services that are available, and a service such as the one that we provide, it really will help them, give them some peace of mind as they transition into this new role.
Mm-hmm. And clearly there's a huge need for the services. The boomer generation ages. Reactions aren't as quick. Chances of illness and injury increases. What kind of response needs happen in an average year? You have some national figures, I think.
I do. So each year, just in terms of the button presses that we receive, so in 2015, we had over 1.5 million button presses, and so these are individuals that are using their Lifeline service. Now, the good news is that the majority of those button presses are actually not emergencies. We encourage our subscribers to push their button every month, and the reason we do that is we want our subscribers to be comfortable using the service, and it really gives them an opportunity to interact with our wonderful personal response associates, and you know, once they have interacted with us a few times, they certainly can feel the concern and the friendliness on the other end of the phone, and it I think alleviates some of their concern of pushing that button in the event of an emergency. Just some other statistics to share. We have another service that's available, and it actually has built-in fall detection technology. And so what this does is that in the event of a senior, unfortunately, if they fell and they were unable to push their button, our auto alert technology would actually send a signal into our response center. And without our technology, they may never have gotten the help that they needed after that fall. So last year we detected just under 12,000 automatic falls, and we were able to get those seniors the help that they needed.
All right. More information now, as Tracy pointed out, at lifeline.ca, or you can call the Philips Lifeline at 1-800-LIFELINE. That's 1-800-543-3546. Peace of mind for you and your family. Now, let's bring in Jeanette Chouinard. Good to see you again. Good to
nice
talk
to see you. Yes.
All right. Now, we were looking at some figures like 1.5 million people, 65 years of age and older, calls on that. Do you have some local statistics as to what we've gone through here in this region?
Yes. I'll share something similar to what Tracy had just shared with us. So in BC, we have roughly 12,000 subscribers. So the total button presses for 2015, the year of 2015, we had just under 250,000 button presses. And the help needed calls, you know, for some level of assistance, was just under 15,000 calls, help needed calls. And the fall detected, but Tracy was talking about the auto alert button detecting the fall. It was just under 2,500, you know, fall detected calls, so that you know, we were able to help them immediately.
That's a significant number.
It is.
That would mean calls where somebody who might be lying on the floor or may not have been able to get to help or call for help or press a button, that call would be made for them.
That's right. That's right. It would automatically, if they, you know, within 30 seconds, if they don't get off the ground, then a signal is sent through and they get immediate help. What is interesting, too, is, again, that alarms assisted with no EMS. This is, again, our call center and the great job they do. It was a little over about 5,300 calls were handled by our staff. and without calling, without the need to call EMS.
Right. We're going to be talking to one of the people who
we are,
do this, Seamus Parker, who will be joining us online from Toronto in Tracy's office. Some fascinating stories here. But it's pretty obvious then, Jeanette, why the doctors, the hospitals, and professional caregivers trust the medical alert service.
Oh, totally. Our doctors are very supportive. They see the value of this service. Their clients are getting older, frailer. They have, more than one chronic, condition. And to them, it's vital that if they do run into a problem, they're able to push their button, or auto alert will send a signal through. And they can have early intervention and be treated and remain, living in their own homes independently where they want to be.
Right. And nurses, same vein, boy, they must find this a great tool in their desire to care for people.
Oh, totally. Nurses, when they discharge patients home from the hospital, they see them, they're frail, they're weak, and they've had a long-term illness or an injury, and they go home, obviously probably with more pills than, they came in with. So they have all this to deal with, and they know that quite often within the first 2 weeks that client will have a fall. So again, if they can get immediate help, it's peace of mind for the nurse to know that all they have to do is push a button, or auto alert will work for them.
Now, that was something very interesting that you mentioned there, the fact that within a couple of weeks when these folks are going home, that they're likely to have a fall. And is that because they still think they're as good as they once were physically? When they go home, they forget?
I think it's just they're sicker, right? They go home, they're recovering. They're on more meds, and anybody on 4 meds or more has a 30% chance more of falling. So, and the nurses know this. And
a fall or something like that, a little accident like that, can not only hurt physically, but emotionally, psychologically.
Right. A fall like that, it could cause, permanent damage. They can result in chronic pain. It could reduce their mobility, and even death. And it's interesting because the average Canadian that stays in hospital 10 days longer from a fall than from other causes. And quite often, 1/3 of them never go home again. They remain in hospital, go to long-term care facilities.
How many times have you heard that where someone, my grandmother or somebody, they fell, they broke a hip, and they've gone back into hospital, and it's almost that look on their face like, will they ever come out again? And if they'd have gotten help a little bit quicker, could that have made the difference?
It would have, yeah. And it's so true. It's so hard sometimes to sell that concept to a senior, when they're still active, but they don't realize that, they are prone to falls.
Yes. And as parents want to be, they think they're independent, that the last person they want to hear them telling them what to do is their kids. Even if they're 80 and the kids are 60, they hate to lose that independence. They hate to be the ones that are no longer the caregivers.
That's right. And they don't realize that this can keep them independent, and extend their time at home.
Boy, that's the sell, isn't it? You got to convince. This is so you can stay in your home longer.
Right.
Again, we're going to remind you that you can get more information on what we're talking about today. Our BoomerLife discussion today is with Tracy Griffin, Jeanette Chouinard, and PhilipsLifeline, Canada's #1 medical service. Go to lifeline.ca for more of what we're talking about, and 1-800-LIFELINE. Now, your work with all major health agencies is on the record. Tell us about your relationship with Fraser Health, if you could.
Okay, so Fraser Health is divided into 3 programs. There's Fraser Health Region, there's the Fraser Health Lifeline program, and then there's the Delta Lifeline program, which Veronica's from, and then there's the Valley Alert Life program. So they all cover, off different regions in the Fraser Health. Delta covers North and South Delta, from Scott Road to Tawasin. Yeah.
All right. And you work with other health regions in the province?
I do. And in British Columbia, I work with over 30 programs, Lifeline programs in British Columbia and the Yukon, in the 5 health regions. And so just like Fraser Health, I work with Northern Health and Interior Health. And all those programs, they basically do all their own, we do the monitoring and we sell them equipment, and they do everything else themselves. They do their own intake and billing and installations and everything that goes along with managing a program. And then on Vancouver Island, we have 3 programs that actually monitor themselves at Nanaimo, and they monitor for Comox and for Alberni, and they just buy equipment from us, and we support them also like the others with educational workshops and marketing materials. And then the third programs that we have with the health regions, we have partnerships within the health regions with PhilipsLifeline, and we work together to grow the programs, and that's like the North Shore, Vancouver area through Providence, Vancouver Island and Victoria. Up north, we have programs in the Kootenays and in the Caribou and Kamloops. So all spread out throughout the province. So with all the different types of programs, we're able to reach every community in the province.
Amazing stuff. All right, coming up, we'll talk about your work with the Delta Lifeline program, and joining us in studio will be Veronica Lynch, the program manager. You are listening to Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.